Hello and welcome to the final of the UniSport Nationals 2024 here at the ANU in Canberra. It's been an exciting week and we've come down to the gold medal match here. I'm Katie.
I'm Cecilia.
And we'll be your commentators for this game on the beautiful Ngunnawal and Ngambri land. And once again wanting to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that we are playing on today, as well as paying our respects to elders past, present and emerging, and to any Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander players or viewers that are watching and tuning in today, and thanking them for their continued contribution to our sport that we all love playing so much, which is why we're all here for 5 days in a row. Today we have the University of Wollongong versus the University of Melbourne for the gold medal, as Wollongong starts off with the pull from Yuki Yamaguchi. It's a nice pull straight into the hands of RS from Melbourne. Now, CC, we saw these teams playing in their semi-finals this morning, both decisive victories over their respective opponents. So I think this is going to be a tight match. Wollongong putting on their zone that they have been using, that we saw them use in the quarter-final. Melbourne trying patiently to work through it.
Beautiful grab up there. Nice jump up.
Yeah, that was from Lamb, number 4 of Melbourne. Looking downfield, but can't quite see a good option. I know that some teams have struggled against UNW's defense here, so looking to see how Melbourne goes. And so far, they're working it well, really quickly slicing through that zone. Right on the end zone there from Lamb again. Patient, holding the disc. UIW switching to a match defense to stop any attempts at goal.
Is high up and he dumps it to 21-10.
Melbourne taking a little bit of a back step to give themselves a bit more time. Now attacking the end zone again. Everybody running as hard as they can after 5 days of competition. Uni of Melbourne. Once again, Wollongong doing well to defend the end zone. Number 12 there with the disc, Savannah Dam. And Melbourne does it. First point on the board and a clean offense. Lamb with the goal, and he did a lot throughout that point.
Beautiful offense from Melbourne there, holding their disc well and truly, not letting Wollongong get close to even a touch.
That's an exciting point there from Melbourne.
Very
because
exciting point.
They really did, it didn't look super easy, but they did really, really well. And we didn't see that so much in the other games we've watched Wollongong play.
I think that will set the tone for their game. And then hopefully now Wollongong also plays a clean offensive point. I think these two teams are the top teams, which is how they ended up in the finals, obviously. And so we are going to see a very exciting and hopefully very tight match.
Yes, I think so. I think we've ended up with a great final here. It's going to be a bit of a battle. Wollongong with a lot of experience and expertise on the field. We can see Kobe and Jono recently playing in the World Championships. And yesterday when we did see Wollongong playing, they were using the whole of their roster, which just shows the depth and the trust that they all have in each other. So let's see what they come out with on their first O point.
In this game here, both teams only brought dark shirts, dark blue. I think that's a very popular university colour. And so we've got Wollongong shirts inside out, but I'm sure Katie will keep us posted on who does what, because she knows that team quite intimately.
Phillips with the pull to Ryan, centering to Scott, back to Ryan. Melbourne with a match defense here. Jenkins looking long and Kobe sending it to John O'Keys, who just can't quite get there. Ryan really having to make that a bullet, and it was just that bit too far out in front for Keys.
Now we have a break chance for Uni of Melbourne. Hopefully they're able to bring this one home and follow through with the goal that they just scored earlier.
I think Wollongong were probably hoping to get that one in the bag, start off with a nice clean easy offense, save the legs after a long week.
From the game we watched yesterday that we streamed, Wollongong was having quite an easy time. sending things to the end zone there, and there will always be someone there to receive. But in this case, it didn't quite come off the way they intended.
That's a great rundown from Bradley from Melbourne, just slightly over her head, but she gets there anyway. Wollongong playing a match defense, just with Phillips on the far side. Previous under-24 representative.
A dump to do there, but there is a pick call downfield. The players are back into place. But there's still discussion ongoing.
I'm not sure what this discussion is about. Maybe the gender matching. The disc is back in, play resumes. Deacon, Scott aiming for that, and Buxer sending it up to the end zone, and Phillips is there. Break chance here for Melbourne Uni, and they do it.
Oh, but there's a call. That was a very beautiful throw from Tan there.
And Melbourne does the break on Wollongong.
That's right. So a beautiful huck from Tan to be received by Phillips, and then Phillip through to Wang. So that's Melbourne setting the tone. What we were talking about last game was the first few points scored sometimes affects the team's attitude and sentiments towards the game. So hopefully Wollongong hasn't been thrown off by these two early points by Melbourne, and they're still in it to win it.
Oh, definitely. They are not. I think they're going to be able to respond well to this. It's probably not a position that this team is used to being in so far in this tournament. I'm pretty sure they've been undefeated so far, the Wollongong team. But with the experience that they have, I'm sure that they won't let this get in their heads, an early break. However, Melbourne obviously have planned to come out of the gates firing here, and they've done so very well.
Yes, it seems so. So on the Wollongong team, Katie, there are two players that have just played in the World Ultimate Championships representing Australia, haven't there?
There have, Jono and Kobe. However, we've also got a huge depth of our roster there, and a few players that might be looking to try out for the under-24s teams on both sides, Melbourne and Wollongong. So this is giving them a good opportunity to showcase their skills as the pool goes up from the University of Melbourne, number 12. Savannah Dam. He was instrumental this morning. Keys with the disc over to Stoddard. Melbourne poaching a little bit here. Keys again. Looking for options downfield. Wood. Import from the UK on exchange here. She did an awesome job yesterday as well. Keys looking for it back. Very, very good in the handler space, often able to get free of the players.
It looks like there's a little bit of a bracket going on here, with the ladies letting some of their players go deep and under.
Just unfortunate over the top of Maya Osman on the far sideline.
She was Kobe Ryan. She was very free because of the bracket they were putting on, but I don't think it's quite been put in her hands the way he intended.
And sending it up to the end zone. Keys caught on the underside, and it's gone too long for that Melbourne player to receive the disc. RS unable to get there. Wollongong with the Frisbee. Looking to convert and get a score on the board. A break here for Melbourne would put them at a 3-0 lead. However, we've got a lot of experience on this Wollongong team. Keys to Stoddard, another strong player yesterday. Been playing for a while from the Blue Mountains, and a huge D there from number 7, Fina. Played for the USA under-20s team, so she's been very useful for this Melbourne team and showing her use there.
She must be on an exchange program.
I think she is. I think they've got 2 USA exchange students on the Melbourne team. Fina getting the disc, and commentator's curse laying out, and she still keeps it up. Awesome job there. Wollongong scrambling to try and stop this Melbourne Uni team. Swinging it across. Melbourne looking calm, and they do it.
Beautiful.
Scoring another break.
So that's Lithgow over to number 6, RS. Great clean offense. I came into this game thinking Wollongong would be in the lead.
I think it is probably taken the team by surprise a little bit as well. They have been playing well. I think just a couple of those over-the-head shots or not quite to the receiver. And Melbourne has really played well when they've gotten those turns to convert the breaks. But the game is only just in its beginning stages, and I'm sure that it's going to be a tight one.
Here we go, Melbourne! Another one! Another break! We're on, Melbourne! Run! Another break, Melbourne!
Wollongong keeping their top players on the field, as we have seen them resting a little bit throughout the tournament, but giving their all into this game for the championship. I think last year Wollongong came third at this tournament. No, fourth. Wollongong came fourth, and I believe UniMel beat them in the bronze medal match for the bronze medal. So a little bit of history here. I'm sure Wollongong's looking to reverse the outcome of that game.
They are. You can hear the cheering from the sideline, from both sidelines. Both teams really want to win.
As you would expect in a gold medal match. Bucks are with the pull for Melbourne. Female matching point. And it's a good one. Landing in bounds. Faulkner, our commentator earlier, on the field now. Keys. Melbourne seem to be trying to stop that huck with a straight up mark on the handles here. And I believe that is Etienne Fotopoulos. Faulkner does well to clean that up. Ryan. Oh, and just out of reach of Callum. Kobe Ryan not happy with himself after that one. Wollongong's got to work hard here. Stop another break from the Melbourne team, who looking like they've got the momentum in this game.
So pick up from Du, looking for his options. Nice cut out there from 21 Tan. Centres it to Phillips. Phillips looking for his options, cuts from the stack, but they're not quite what he's looking for. So a dump there to Du. Du looks
and
in,
it's a goal.
And it's a goal.
For the University of Melbourne, putting another break on the board. This is unheard of so far in this tournament. I can't imagine that Wollongong is enjoying this feeling, but this is probably the first time that they've been down by this many points in this tournament.
Bradley got herself free and got that goal scored in the bag for Melbourne.
Great job there by Melbourne University to force that turn and then convert. Let's see what Wollongong can do here. Melbourne has been, I think that they have really thought out their defensive strategy here, knowing who the key players on the Wollongong team are. And we say that they do have a deep, quite good talent across the board, but if they can, Melbourne can try and shut down the key players on Wollongong, which they're doing at the moment. I think it is working well for them.
I think so too. I would love to see Wollongong get this next point. I'm sure they will.
It's just talking some strategy. Both teams on the line there.
Usually at this stage, if one team does get away with a few points ahead, normally a timeout is normally called, and so they can regroup the team and talk through what's happening, what needs to be changed. But I think Wollongong know what they have to do, and maybe it's just a bit of play error, just execution error, not necessarily strategy, and so they're confident to keep going. Let's see it.
See how we go. Melbourne with the pull to Wollongong. Keys picking up the disc. Yuki Yamaguchi pushing everybody back. Melbourne once again kind of letting the handlers move the disc. Yamaguchi looking promising here for Wollongong. Noting that the downfield cutters are quite a way away from the disc, I would say that is probably on purpose to allow that handler weave and get the defenders out of the way from the University of Melbourne, knowing the skill and expertise that these handlers do have for Wollongong. Osmond clearing out. Back to Keys. Yamaguchi, she's commanding that space. She wants people out of the way. Scott in the end zone. Wollongong getting closer. This is probably as close as they've been so far to scoring. Keys seeing what they'll do here. Deacon Scott with the grab and calling a foul there is Yamaguchi on Buxer.
We have Fina with the run through D, but let's see if they discuss to come to an outcome. Here's the replay here. Oh, it looks like
tricky
to me.
to say from here.
Tricky to say from here, but from the replay, I think she didn't quite have control of the disc.
But they might be discussing
if there was a finger on a finger.
Yeah. So better for the players to discuss. I think they've called a contested foul on the field. So the disc is going to go back to Deacon Scott there at the edge of the end zone. Always difficult in these high pressure matches to make a call without feeling biased, because obviously you want your team to win. Deacon Scott,
but it's
looking
okay
for the dump here. Keys, childhood friends, Deacon Scott and Jono Keys, been playing for a long time. Deacon Scott recently getting into Frisbee seriously as Keys looks for it back. Out to Stoddard, and he's in for a goal. Wollongong puts their first score on the board, and they will be happy with that one.
Very, very beautifully put. Oh, sorry, I'm stumbling over my words today.
It's tiring.
I know. And so they were cool, calm and collected. Just because there was a call doesn't mean that they had to rush through their strategy or their throws there. Sometimes when there's a call right down at the end, the next throw that comes off once the disc is tapped into play, sometimes, most of the time, is in a turnover because people are rushed. They feel like they know what they need to do and they send things that they didn't quite see earlier.
Exactly. As we see, I think that was Wollongong's best point so far. They were really, I think, purposefully relied on their handlers there, getting the downfield players to push out of the way a little bit. And we'll see how they come out with on defense, because first few points, Uni of Melbourne did work well through the Wollongong zone, which had been previously making it quite tough for other teams. But it's a long game, and we did see earlier this morning that ANU versus Uni Melbourne game, we got more turns as the game went on. Pool's going to be coming up from Faulkner, previous under-24s rep for the Goannas. And sending it quite a way down the field for Melbourne to receive. Phillips in the middle. UOW setting up their zone, trusting in what they know. Melbourne working hard, and a great put there to Hannah Bradley. Sending it down the line, and a huge bid from Faulkner, but she manages to toe it in. Number 13, that was Wang. Little cheeky scuba. Phillips keeps it in. We've got Clifton on the mark here. Kobe Ryan. Pick called downfield, but it's a turn, and I think that will stand. The play keeps going.
That's right, they'll track that quite quickly. Oh, a look to put it to the end zone, but no one was quite there for him to send it there.
Nice work from Jenkins there. Out to Will Stacey. Sending it into Faulkner, sorry. Wollongong trying to take their time here. Sending the hammer over the top. Ryan trying to read it, and he does. Is it in bounds? Out the back.
It was a very nice hammer. We've seen a lot of them this tournament.
Yeah, unlucky there for Wollongong. That would have been a good one for them to get themselves a bit closer to the 4 points that Melbourne has.
On the replay, it was about a metre out. Good running to still catch it. It's always great practice as well.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to let one go thinking it was going out and it lands in the field.
That's right. Sometimes you're just not self-aware of where the disc is, and you're better always better off catching it than not.
Josh Phillips here walking the disc up to the line for Melbourne. Seeing if they can convert this break. Number 42 there with the Frisbee. Wollongong putting their zone on once again. That was Brown, number 42. Phillips looking for the scuba. Not a lot happening downfield for Melbourne. They're kind of clumped around that disc. See if they spread it out a bit, and they do. Hannah Bradley stretching it deep. Great timing as that scuba goes over the top of the zone. Potentially this lack of wind making it a little bit easier for Melbourne to work around that zone that Wollongong has been putting on so effectively, as Ben Phillips gets it in the middle and sends it to his teammate, number 24, Du. Wollongong here calling for a conversion to a match, and a huge flick goes up. Clifton's under it, but Melbourne, Hannah Bradley, great positioning there for the score. Another break.
I believe that's her second goal for the day as well. She should be very happy with her results here. Melbourne Uni taking it away. Where I'm looking at the ULTI.TV chat here, and we've got so many comments on this game. We've got lots of people invested. There are compliments on what's happening on the field.
Great to see lots of engagement from the viewers. Thank you for all tuning in today and supporting these players in this grand final of UniSport Nationals.
It's hard to be here, especially since everyone's from all over the country, but we're very happy that there is a free way to watch these games on YouTube, thanks to ULTI.TV and UniSport. UniSport.
Yes.
I'm too used to saying UniSA because that's where I'm from and that's my university, which is now the University of Adelaide. I'm not sure where they ranked in the ladder, but I am keen to see.
All right, coming out on O. Little bit of wind just coming across the field. The sideline closest to the commentators is kind of downwind, but it's not a strong wind today. Keys catching the pull, sending it over to Stoddard. Wollongong looking to work through those handlers again, pushing their downfield players quite deep. Stoddard again. Yamaguchi telling him where to go and just throwing it. Love that. Very experienced player from Japan. Doing a Masters here, I believe. Stoddard running onto a great put by Keys. Deacon Scott in the right place. Previous Thunder player this year for the Australian team. Yamaguchi looking calm. Wollongong really wanting to try and work this one back, and Keys bids, but it just falls to the ground. Unfortunate there. Melbourne looking to capitalise on this break opportunity. Wollongong looking like they might set up a match with a bit of a poach here from Yamaguchi in the lane. And a great breakthrough there from Sivanadam. Number 7, Fina, out to 11, Lithgow. Back to Fina, proving useful for this Melbourne team. Number 14 there, that's Cortez. And it's a turn. Not quite sure how that happened. Couldn't quite see. Keys with the disc. Kobe Ryan busting deep, he wants it long. It's not coming. Maya Osmond with the Frisbee there, looking for something. Keys is there, sending it long. Deacon's there, Deacon Scott, nobody around him, and he jumps it in, and it's a goal for Wollongong.
That was very beautifully put.
You can see a lot of players bending over on the field here. I think that one took it out of them a little bit there.
Absolutely it did.
Great job there from both teams. Both almost, well, Melbourne almost scoring and converting yet another break, but Wollongong doing really well to hang on. And I think that was an important point for them to score, CC.
I think that was. I think that really has given them the positivity that they need and the spirit to continue to fight, to claw back those points. They've got 3 points to match Melbourne. And Melbourne is putting up a tough match. They're not giving them away. They still want to get as many points on this Wollongong team as possible.
Exactly. Melbourne's done a great job coming out playing their own game and kind of making their defense specific to Wollongong's team. I think Wollongong has done well to respond, kind of really creating space for their handlers and then shooting that downfield option when it's open. All right.
We've had a comment. I think we've made a mistake here. The two Phillip brothers, it's not Phillips, it's Phillip. Yep.
Our apologies.
Our apologies. We are trying our best. We've only been acquainted with these players in the last day, really.
Yes,
Katie,
this morning.
This morning for the Melbourne team, and Katie does know the Wollongong players quite well. She used to play with them.
Yes, Uni Games a few years ago now, as Yamaguchi is throwing up the pull for Wollongong. Melbourne, Phillip looking to receive, and it's a great pull, landing just in bounds. Fina with the undercut, she's very free in that space. Wollongong having a poach in the end zone, wanting to prevent that, and Jenkins going for it, but Fina gets there. Wollongong leaving her free, maybe trying to block up the end zone. Sam Arms on the mark. Back to Fina again, getting every second past this point.
Fassett with the disc, looking to swing it to the middle, centering it to 24 Do. Do's looking for his options there. Nice cut from 21 Tan. Let's see if the pick. I don't believe the pick affected Tan and her defence player, but the rest of them in the stack might have had some collisions there.
Disc is back in, looking for Buxter, sorry, and Do with the disc as it goes over to Phillip. Looking for it in end zone, puts it up, and a good read there from Faulkner to prevent that goal from Uni Melbourne. Bit of a floaty one, always a risk into the end zone like that. We have seen a lot of teams come down with it in their favour, but good job from Faulkner there. Just kicking that end zone cone away. Let's see how Wollongong move through this kind of poachy look. I think it's actually just match defence that Melbourne's doing here. Faulkner fighting hard for that one. Sending a zingy flick across the field to Yamaguchi.
Beautiful grab there. She's back up, ready to look for her next pass.
Just getting a bit clogged in there and almost a collision there. Faulkner ends up with it. A few players running in from different directions. That's Etienne Fotopoulos with the disc there in a bit of space. Arms, unfortunate drop, just a little bit behind him. Another chance here for Uni of Melbourne to score.
Phillip there directing all his players downfield where to go as he slowly makes his way to the disc. It looks like they're setting up in a horror here, Uni of Melbourne, or actually it's the 3 to one side, 2 to the other side.
Oh, like we saw before.
Like we saw before. Do with the disc looking downfield. People are clearing. Phillip centering the disc. Fina there into the middle.
Buxer with the disc now on the far sideline for Melbourne. Fina again. She's trapped on the sideline there, looking for Do. Does well there. Sending it to Fina, and safe hands. She's done well so far in this game, and sending it up to Phillip, and Melbourne with another point on the board. Really starting to run away with this game.
That's right. So that's 2 to Wollongong, 6 to Melbourne.
And Melbourne has called for a timeout there. Maybe just regrouping, giving themselves a bit of a rest. I'm sure they are puffed out after these 5 days of playing.
But they're still giving it their all towards this finals. Everyone wants the gold.
Everybody does want the gold.
It's always great to finish on a win. And I'm still hoping Wollongong the undefeated come through and give Melbourne a run for the money.
I'd be lying if I say I wasn't cheering for them, but it's also good that we have a good game of Frisbee here, and Melbourne has put on a show. Really, I remember when we played against them last year at ANU, they're just so good at passing it up the line, the handlers getting free, and those up the line shots, which are very hard to defend. So the bronze medal match update on the other field. ANU is leading UTAS 5-4. A close game.
Oh, we've got a comment here.
We actually do have 2 players on UniMelb with the same number. So one of them has a bit of tape. 21, which has some tape, is Buxer. And 21 without the tape is Tan, unless something has changed from what they told us this morning. So if they'd like... No, I think it's still... We'll double check that.
I believe we do have 2 21s.
Yes. Yes, we can see a 21 on the field there, and that is Tan, and Buxer is here on the sideline, also with a 21 on the jersey.
We've got some calls from the comments here regarding rules about being in or out on the field. To be fair, it really does end on the onus of the players and what they call at the end of the day.
Yes, and good to remember that the players don't necessarily have the same high-up perspective that the camera has.
That's
and
right.
the hindsight. So, you know, it's a good learning opportunity for the players to, if they're not sure about something, make a call, have a discussion, and then you can always retract the call. But, yeah, we can't make any calls here from the commentator box.
No, we cannot. We have seen some players come over and look at the replays for decision making, but I think for those calls so far, they're just sideline players wanting to see for themselves as opposed to joining in the conversation from the far corners of the field.
Yes. As you see, Wollongong heading on over back to the line, probably having some serious strat talks in that little timeout huddle that they had there, keeping the spirits up. They're playing really well. Scoreline reflecting just how good Melbourne has done to convert those break chances that they have had. But Wollongong will be a dangerous one. Could come back at any point.
We have a comment here that says, where are the umpires? So if you don't know, Ultimate is a self-refereed sport where all the players should know all the rules and then they discuss amongst themselves. Sometimes we have people on the field called game advisors where they can give their perspective of the game, but at the end of the day, it is the players that make the calls.
Exactly.
And discuss amongst themselves.
As the pull goes up, Yamaguchi receiving to Keys. Wollongong here, looking for the long shot to Kobe Ryan. Is he going to get the positioning? Melbourne does well. And I think that there might be a call here with some contact on Kobe Ryan as he was up in the air there, seeming to claim that his hand was pulled as he was in the air by the Melbourne defender. With these foul calls, it can be tricky because sometimes on the stream you can't see all of the details, but the players will feel hands pulling their
Let's see the replay here. He jumps up. Maybe potentially that Melbourne player could have affected how his arm had stretched to catch that disc. That will be for the players to discuss and find out.
Yes. We do have a rule on the calls is for them to be 45 seconds time cap only, and if they start to reach that time, we like to stop the call there because it really interrupts the flow of the game when we have really long calls. So I think if these players don't come to a decision soon, it might be a contested foul for Kobe Ryan.
It looks like the chat seems to think that it was not a foul and that he jumped too early, and that it's a frustration call. So,
well, that is for the chat to decide.
Yeah.
But, however, we're going to keep it with the players.
that's right.
Keep the spirit of the game, and the disc is going to go back to Keys. UAW working out of their Horo.
And I think they're just trying to figure out where the players were when that throw was made. It's coming in on 1 or 2.
Keys wanting it again straight away. Back to Ryan. This time he gets it under. Looking for Keys again, but it's not quite there. Yamaguchi. One of the Wollongong players potentially poached here. Ryan looking for somebody. Osmond holding her positioning nicely. Melbourne working hard. Just trailing at the moment, and a great grab from Scott keeps that one in contention for Wollongong. Keys close to the front of the end zone. Sends it up, and Kobe Ryan with the score. Great job there from Wollongong to keep level-headed.
Absolutely. Everyone was holding their disc, making great cuts, and in the end, that was a goal for the team. I think this is the offense that Wollongong was wanting to play early on, but didn't quite get. But I think they're finding their rhythm and flow, and I assume that this goal difference will get tighter and tighter.
Yeah, so we did see early on a few of those turns were probably generated from just little errors there from the Wollongong offense under a lot of pressure from Melbourne. And Melbourne did well in those first few points with those really clean throws to the chest. I think what we saw was Wollongong having to beard a lot and grab, and it was just slightly out of reach. But scores 6-3 at the moment in this gold medal match for the Uni Nationals Championship. Both teams really wanting that medal.
That's right. In the chat, someone has asked, how many Australian players does Melbourne have? Now they might not have Australian Worlds players that have recently competed in the World Ultimate Championships, but they do have some players that have played for under 20s and under 24s on their team.
And so, yeah, those are the World Championships for those respective age groups. So,
absolutely.
We were talking about this morning. We've got a couple of players who've played on the under 20s, as well as a few Blue Bottles, Goeys and Stingrays from the Melbourne team. So I'm sure that experience is really helping them lead this team in this high-pressure game.
From the number that I can see here, there's at least 6 of them. So just because they're not playing on the open age bracket doesn't mean that they're not competitive for this game.
Exactly.
And they're really showing it with this score of 6-3.
As we see Buxter with the disc, Wollongong having reverted to a match because Melbourne did so well with that original zone there. Phillip sending it across the field to Do. Great look there. Do kind of looking long here. 42 Brown. Disc on the far sideline. Buxter trying to get it, giving us something. Nice flick there. Those little up the line flicks can be quite difficult. Phillip looking for the hammer. We've seen a few of those today. One earlier in the game that didn't quite come off for Wollongong. And it's coming up. Keys almost gets it to Fina. Proving herself a key player for this team. And she's jumped it in. Faulkner just checking the line there. He's calling it a goal. Might have just been having a bit of fun, I think.
I believe that's a celebration for the other team. It's nice to see that in a finals, both teams getting along and celebrating each other's wins.
As we just see that replay here of that goal from Fina. We've seen a few players trying to jump the disc in for goals this time, and I think she just gets her feet down before her body lands on the ground. Callum Faulkner from Wollongong just making sure of it.
This is very exciting.
It is. It's a great game. I think Melbourne has really turned it on. They played well this morning when we saw on the stream, and I think they've even turned it up a notch here. As we just swing around to look at the ANU versus UTAS game. Score is 7-6, and I assume it's not quite sure who's up. ANU's up. ANU's up 7-6 in the bronze medal match. And here back in the gold, we have Melbourne 7 and Wollongong 3.
Savannah done with the disc. He'll be the one to pull over to the Wollongong team.
Melbourne probably looking to break Wollongong here and get half, which is a huge kind of milestone in any Frisbee game, as Savannah Dunn sends the pull down the field. We've got Scott and Keys and Yamaguchi, in the handler space. Maybe not capitalising on the lack of Melbourne players down there early. Melbourne now set up. Keys sending it long to Kobe Ryan. Ryan seeing if he can get the positioning here and just, again, misreads it slightly.
No call this time.
Just was a little bit too early on that one, and the Melbourne player was right on his back. That was good defense there from Melbourne. Really forcing Ryan to jump up a bit earlier than he probably would have liked. Uni of Melbourne here with a chance to take half.
Very exciting. Lots of bets in this this chat. We've got lots of viewers this time around for the finals.
Wollongong here with a bit of a zoney look. Once again, they're trying the zone. Disc is coming up across the field. Great throw. And sending it long to a sole receiver. Plenty of space in the end zone. And that's it for Melbourne. They have taken half.
So that was RS sending it to Cortez there in the end zone. Beautiful put.
Huge for the University of Melbourne.
They've taken half now.
They really managed to capitalise on that Wollongong zone. There was no one in the defensive area in that far end zone. Most of the Wollongong players trying to cram that middle space, but I think the lack of wind means that these throws are going to be a little bit more likely to come off today. As we're going to swing over to the bronze medal game, which, just trying to check the score, still 7-6 to ANU, home uni. So trying to zoom in here. We've got ANU pressing towards the end zone. Wigney with the disc. Fair in the handler space. Little flick over to Sleeth, and she can't get there. Chance for UTAS here to even the scores.
The scores still remain the same, so it's still 6-7 to ANU. And we'll see if now UTAS there can get that point to match the scores and bring it to a Galaxy point.
Both of these teams in the bronze medal match would be stoked to be here. I think both being knocked out in the quarters, at least ANU was last year. Not sure about UTAS, but a big improvement on their placings from last year for both teams. As we see University of Tasmania working it down the field. And a D there from Rogers of ANU, but it might be a call. I think the turn is standing. ANU with the Frisbee again. Byron, plenty of open space there. No mark on him at the moment. ANU sending it down the line to Wigney, previous Goanna's representative last year too. And Hodson's there, and UTAS maxed it out of the air.
Beautiful D there. Not giving up their half quite that easy.
No, they really want it. If you've gotten this far, you want to come away with something. You know, coming fourth is never fun. Both these teams desperate to grab this bronze medal in a tense game.
Usually in the halftime, ULTI.TV would run ads, but in this case, the UTAS game versus ANU is much more worthwhile to the ULTI.TV crew here to film, especially since UTAS haven't had any recorded games this tournament.
Exactly. And I'm not sure if that was a score. It looked like it was a drop or a turn, and they might be coming in for a time out here. Both teams working hard over there in the bronze medal game. I know that it would mean a lot to both teams to come away with the bronze. Same here on this field with the final. Both teams definitely in search of that gold. No one gets into the gold medal match hoping for the silver.
This is a terrible time for a timeout. All teams are in huddles. All 4 teams are in huddles. What do we do?
May as well have a party over here. And we'll go to a brief ad break.
Always on the move? You can keep up to date with ULTI.TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend, or send us a message just to say hey. Thank you for supporting us in our mission to grow Ultimate everywhere.
Welcome back to ULTI.TV's live coverage of the Australian UniSport Nationals gold medal match here in Canberra. We're just finishing up half-time, and Melbourne has taken half from the University of Wollongong at score 8-3. See a few players getting their heads in the game after the half-time, maybe taking a bit of time to switch off, relax. A little bit of nerves in these big games.
That's right. Katie, what do you think Wollongong has to change up in order to get themselves back in the game?
It's hard to say. I mean, they have been playing well, but I think this Melbourne team is just giving them a certain amount of pressure that they haven't seen so far in the tournament. And to have to play against that in the gold medal match can sometimes catch you a little bit off guard. So I think if Wollongong can maybe reduce those unforced errors that we saw early on in the game. And also, we saw yesterday that they did play through little bit more of their players, and now they're more focusing on their more experienced players. So if they can find a way to work back their whole team in, they'll maybe look a little bit more threatening and threaten more areas of the field.
Let's hope so. They're back on offense now. We've got a strong cross win coming towards the commentator booth here, and we'll see how Wollongong does. Yamaguchi with the disc, centres it to the middle there.
Keys with the disc now, looking to Stoddard. They kind of look very similar, these two, same colour hat. Keys to Ryan on the far side. Jenkins, safe hands in the middle, sending it to Fotopoulos. Back to Keys. Kobe Ryan wanting it long. Keys seeing it, and it's just going to get taken by the wind again. Was he in bounds? I don't think so. Great grab, but once again, just the wind. Probably not exactly where Keys wanted that one.
I think he overestimated the power of the wind to bring it back, and it's just gone out there on the far sideline.
Wind is definitely something Wollongong is used to, known sometimes as windy Wollongong. There was a few tournaments that we've played there where the wind has been insane. But probably just underestimating it a little bit there, like you said, CC. We've got Dew from Melbourne coming up with the disc. Starting their cuts early, Melbourne, which always is helpful. In Callaghan country here, Melbourne trying to get it out of there. That's number 17, Fassett. Receiving the pass from Buxer. Falco It's further downfield. Did you see what happened?
No, I didn't.
Might have been actually a offensive foul called there. I'm not 100% sure.
We don't have enough time for a replay. They're back in the game.
And
And that looks like a foul or an injury.
I think that potentially Buxer and Yamaguchi had a bit of a tussle there. Buxer ended up on the ground, and then Keys was lucky not to stomp on her head when trying to catch that disc.
Here's the replay here.
I think there is a retracted foul call.
She potentially just tripped, and
it was
unfortunate timing.
Yeah, I think that Yamaguchi and Buxer were playing quite hard match on each other, but if they've been playing that way against each other all game, they've probably accepted a certain level of contact, and as long as they're talking about it, that's okay. As Wollongong has got the Frisbee here. Over to Ryan. And sorry, so that is a turn. That was previously a turn. I forgot to mention that. So Wollongong ended up with the Frisbee there as that foul call was retracted.
And if you just saw it just then, there was a seagull that featured right in the middle of the screen there, flying right by our camera.
We're in the middle of nature here. A few birds around. Lots of ducks yesterday. Lovely little spot, Canberra. It's a lot nicer than people give it credit for. Lots of green spaces.
It was a stall out.
It is just cold, but apparently we're getting a stall out called here on
contested,
Keys.
so it's going back.
Okay. Just coming in, has to get rid of it quickly. Ryan looking for someone in the end zone, and close bid there from Uni Melbourne, but Maya Osmond keeps it up for a score for Wollongong out of half.
Beautiful. Hopefully they can roll with the halftime points, just similarly to how Melbourne started off the game. They can take this one and bring the scores to match and bring it much closer together.
The score on the bronze medal match is 8-6 to ANU, taking half. I'm sure that they'll be pleased with that.
Might not be UTAS. UTAS would not be pleased.
But UTAS might not be as pleased with that, understandably. Showing my bias once again. And on this field, wondering if we're going to have a bit of a shift in momentum. We saw that the first half was really Uni of Melbourne's game. But we know that Frisbee you can come and get a run of points really quickly. And sometimes you get in your head if you have a few kind of missed throws or drops. If the other team takes advantage of that, they can get a few points in a row while you're not even really noticing.
That's right. You see it on the world stage as well.
Exactly. With that game, I think you were telling me about the Belgium and Japan game, where Japan broke 5 times in a row.
That's right, and took it home and won, so then they can go into the, I believe, the next semis. Yes, that's right.
Okay, so Yamaguchi again with the pull to Melbourne here. Let's see if Melbourne can just keep playing their game. I think if Melbourne plays how they've been playing for the first half, they're going to be hard to stop. I think Wollongong will have to pull out some seriously good defense to stop Melbourne's offense the way it was looking. Very clean. Fina once again. Sorry, that's Tan. That's 21-21 Tan to Savannah Dam. Now to Fina on the sideline, looking for an up-the-line cut, but there's a lot of players in the way. Great mark on the mark. Savannah Dam, she gets a really nice flick throw off, and Savannah Dam sends it to the end zone. And I think there might be that's a turn. No call. I'm not sure if that was Keys with the block, but I could see that he was really running that one down, not wanting Melbourne to score then. Wollongong looking for another break. Sending it long. We've got Sam Arms running it down. It's floating so nicely. That was a beautiful throw there.
Everyone catching back up.
Sending it in, and just so unlucky for that not stick in the hands of Rachel Wood. She had a stellar game yesterday, scoring a lot for Wollongong in the end zone.
That's right.
But that must get in your head a little bit there.
We can see we have 3 male handlers on the Melbourne team, and then we've got the ladies downfield set up, 2 on either side, or in a horizontal.
Yes. We've got someone busting deep, and Melbourne has capitalised early on that. Beautiful throw. Yamaguchi running it down, but Tan's under it in acres of space. Beautiful heads-up play there from Melbourne to recognise the defence was sitting a bit under of them. Number 11, Fassett with the disc, sending it in to Fina again, number 7. Melbourne swinging it across the field. Disc goes up into the end zone. There's 2 of them there. It's Lamb, number 4. Wollongong really not wanting this to go in, and it goes across the field. And that is a huge shot from Lamb. And it's called a goal, I think. There might be a call. That was Tan with that grab in the end zone, and it's confirmed as a goal. A shame there for Wollongong, just not being able to get that last pass. But awesome grab there from Tan.
We could say that similarly to Melbourne as well, because they did bring it all the way up to the end zone on their first possession there, and then they just got lucky that they got to second shot.
Exactly there. I think they must have realised the importance of not giving the Frisbee up again.
That's right. Great hucks from both teams, though.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of long game this game. Both teams not scared to send it, and it's been a bit of mixed outcomes, I think. You know, some of the hucks have come off brilliantly, but other ones have gone a little bit too far over the head or out of the field.
In this case, the hucks have come off, but then the little dishy afterwards hasn't quite been received as well as they should have.
That's always frustrating when you get a nice big throw off and then that little one just doesn't come off in the end. With the bronze medal match resuming after half, ANU 6, ANU's now on 9. And UTAS is on 6 points. Can UTAS bring themselves back?
Similarly, can Wollongong bring themselves back?
Yes, we've got Melbourne's got a little bit of a buffer here. A little bit of room for error, but you don't want to give too much up to this Wollongong team as Phillip comes in with the pull. Nice one.
We've still got 20 minutes to go, so anybody's game.
Yamaguchi in the centre to Stoddard. Looking downfield, not liking the options that he's seeing, looking for Keys. And the poach, leaving Kira Walsh free in the end zone, but she's not quite in the right position. Stoddard, great upline throw across the field to Clifton, and it just bubbles out of her hands again. I think that's what we've been seeing with this Wollongong team, is just a few throws that are not quite going to exactly where they're planning, or just a few bobbles out of the hands.
I think it's the bobbles out of the hands. Melbourne with the disc again, and they send it down the field. Looking for Phillips. And another bubble out the hands.
That was Ben Phillips there. Great read of the disc, but just missed it. Kobe Ryan here to Keys.
We've got both Phillip brothers on the field at this point in time, number 10 and number 8. Let's see if they... Oh.
Just over the head of Yamaguchi. Wollongong not happy with that one. Buxer with it on the sideline. Phillip in the middle. He's been a huge role for this Melbourne team, whereas Brown streaking through there, very free, and just manages to change direction in time to get that one. Looking for Phillip, and a huge hand block from Deacon Scott, but there's a foul call. Uncontested. Might have still had that disc in his hand and got hit out of the hand. Disc is back in. Phillip looking for Bradley. I do like this Melbourne team isn't scared to throw to the open option. Whereas that's just a little bit of a
miscommunication there between Philip and Bradley. And a
huge huck from Keys there to Kobe Ryan in the end zone. Will this one come off? And it does.
And it does. What a beautiful put. A beautiful grab.
I think that's what they've been looking for the whole time.
I think that's what they were doing in the other games. We hadn't seen it too much in this game yet. Maybe it's just going to be huck and hope for the best.
They've had a lot of experience playing together, those two. And just earlier in the first half, we saw a couple long shots from Keys to Ryan that didn't quite come off, but that one went in their favour. Melbourne 9, Wollongong 5.
Exciting. Maybe this is when Wollongong will take it off.
Maybe.
And give Melbourne a run for their money.
We can see that maybe Melbourne is getting a little bit tired, as would Wollongong, just with that turnover towards the end there. It's definitely hard in the later stages of a tournament. You can't quite get the same amount of power that you did at the start of the tournament, so I think the throws need to be a little bit more accurate towards the later stages. Maybe if it was the first day feeling fresh, you can get those last few steps to bring in the catches.
I think everyone's putting their all out there. This is the last game of the day of the tournament. Uni Nats.
And probably the last game of Uni Nationals for some of these players ever, with maybe a few of them graduating this year.
And the pull just goes out in the back of the end zone there. So it'll be a brick. 12 picking up the disc. Savannah Dunn.
Wollongong looking like they might play their zone that they were playing yesterday, with two kind of handler marks forcing towards the middle. And then we've got a player in the centre there waiting to take a bid at that inside shot, but breaks the mark quickly. Number 12, Savannah Dam with the disc, sending it through, a spicy flick. Wollongong chasing to get up, but Melbourne hasn't really got anybody back.
RS back with the disc, looking to dump, dumping back to 4, Lamb. Lamb looking at his options through the middle to 21-10, and a pick has been called. Fina's currently got the disc, but I think it's going back to Tan now. And then so Fina is going back to where she was before. All right. It does look like that zone has now collapsed back into a match, and disc is in.
Wollongong choosing the match as they get closer to the end zone.
Nice up line cut there from Lamb.
Looking for an overhead, doesn't see it.
Back
Dangerous on the break side to Fina.
Lamb back in the centre with the disc. Swings to the other side of the field to number 12, Savannah Dan.
And a huge throw there.
Beautiful score there.
Melbourne Uni would be happy with that one.
Lithgow with the score. Melbourne Uni has just really found their flow in this game.
They really have. Watching them this morning, you know, they've definitely lifted from that semi-final against ANU, where there's probably a few more turns, but Melbourne's offense has looked quite unstoppable here, even with the match defense. Wollongong players just trailing a little bit. We'll see what they can pull out.
Sometimes there is a curse. Have you heard of the curse? The curse where you've won every single game and then you head into finals undefeated, and then you are defeated. Let's hope this curse doesn't play out, but at the same time, it absolutely can, because Melbourne is playing an absolutely fantastic game.
Exactly.
I think just because they heard that there's Worlds players representing Australia doesn't mean that they can't bring their all. And perhaps the Worlds players are tired. Worlds only just happened last week, with a little bit of a break in between, before heading into this one.
Exactly. And you know, it's not just about the best players that you have on your team too. The Melbourne roster is got a lot of experienced players. We do have one player that has only been playing for 3 months, Wang, but she's done an awesome job. She was one of the ones running down in the end zone earlier in the game. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the rest of this game pans out.
With 15 minutes left on the clock.
15 minutes left on the clock. Provided that these games are the same amount of time as the other ones. We've got confirmation of that. And on the other field, ANU is up 10-7 on UTAS for the bronze. Wollongong really needing this one to keep themselves in contention for the gold medal. Melbourne hoping to break again and further their lead that they have impressively pulled off. Yamaguchi in the centre. Back to Osmond. Kieran Stoddard to Ryan. To Osmond, she's chasing it down and keeps it in bounds. Sending it up in the air, and great defense there from Du of Melbourne University to deny that scoring opportunity for Wollongong.
As we said, just outside the end zone is the point of contention for all these players, both teams on the field. I think that's where we've seen most of our turnovers.
Exactly.
All right, Melbourne with the disc, Phillip looking to send it, but no options, and so a dump back to Du. Du with the disc, back to Phillip. Catches it there, looks downfield. No one's down in the deep space for him to huck it to, so back to the middle to Buxner there.
Huge bitch there from Yamaguchi, getting in the way of Ryan, having to jump over her, and Melbourne overshoots, and Maya Osmond, with the D.
Bradley still laying out for the disc though. Great bid, but unfortunately it was quite a bit sharp.
Yes. Ryan to Walsh in the end zone. Bradley chasing. Can she get it? And she does. Huge point there for Wollongong.
Huge point there for Wollongong. That's what we see from Wollongong. The big hucks to the end zone with a receiver there to catch.
I think that's the first time we have seen a long shot to Walsh in the end zone. I know that she scored quite a few for them yesterday. And maybe they need to tune into that matchup there, because she read that disc really well. It kind of started to fade. Defender right behind her. Bradley did well to put the pressure on.
She did. She did a great bid for the catch earlier, but didn't quite make it, and then still sent it all the way to the other side to just chase after that player. But unfortunately, it wasn't quite enough.
As we see the ANU game, 11, ANU and UTAS, my apologies, not just ANU. ANU is up 11-7 in that bronze medal match. And here we have Melbourne coming out on offense.
The wind's picking up, so I wonder if Wollongong will put on a zone this time.
They may do. I think that they've kind of been trying to do that some of the points, but Melbourne Uni has really worked through their zone quite well. I think Melbourne Uni's throws are very flat and direct, and they're not too affected by the wind, so they did manage to cut through that zone reasonably well. But as the players get more tired, I think we'll have more chances for turns. Wollongong just taking their time, making sure they've got their matchups. Petopoulos with the pull. Played for Wollongong Surge in the recent Division 2 champions. They won Division 2 for the women's competition. As we see Savardinam with the disc. Just asking for disc space there.
Phillip. Looking downfield. Centering it into the middle there to 21, Tan. Tan sends it in to the stack of players. Oh, and it reaches, is that Fina?
Great there from Fina to get that Wollongong player not quite getting to there, even though it went over the original Melbourne player. Fina again. Wollongong struggling to shut down Fina. And the disc is over to Melbourne in the end zone. And they score.
And that's a goal to
Tan, I think.
To Tan.
One of our 21s. Great job from Melbourne there. Really not looking too phased.
No, not at all. It was very clean, smooth offense. And I think that's why they are in the lead today.
I think it would have been easy for Melbourne to come into this game having the knowledge that Wollongong does have a couple of very high-level players, and knowing they were undefeated, to come into this game a little bit in their heads, but they've done exactly the opposite, University of Melbourne. They've come out firing. We saw them before the start of the game really hyping each other up in their little circle, and I think they should definitely be proud of the quality of Frisbee that they have brought to this game.
Absolutely. The University of Wollongong does have a much smaller roster. Yesterday we were saying how a smaller roster could mean that you can foster better relationships, understand each other more because you have more contact with each other on the field. But I think perhaps after a whole week of playing Frisbee that it's really worn them out. And in this finals match here, the University of Wollongong hasn't quite caught up to where they would want to be in their heads.
Could be starting to show, you're right, with I think they have 14 players on the roster, Wollongong. And 5 days is a long time with just that amount of players. I know when teams go to Division 1 or 2 Nationals, they've usually got at least 20 players. As the pool goes up from Melbourne.
We've got a comment here saying, how many dingoes does it take to win Uni Nationals? Maybe 0. Maybe 0.
So far, it's looking a little bit like that, as Melbourne is in the lead of this game. But Keys and Harriet Jenkins, and I think that's due from Uni Melbourne, going to have a bit of a discussion about who caught that first.
But I think if they both catch it at the same time, we both know it goes to offense, doesn't it?
Yeah, these ones are tricky, I think.
We can get a replay for this one.
See what the players on the field think first. If they want the replay, they can look at the replay. Their decision, though. It was great from number 24 to be in that space and really contesting that there, but
it's really hard to tell when the players are really small, but it looks like both of them caught it at the same time. And so here they are.
I think that's going to be kept with the offense.
That's right.
Nice pass out to Yamaguchi and a huge bid there. Keeps that disc up. She's worked so hard for this team. Keys, easy grab above the head, making that look very easy. Sending it long to Yamaguchi. It's probably going to fade. Buxa got herself in a good position there. That was awesome boxing out from the Melbourne player.
Great read from Buxa. She has played on Stingrays.
She has. And she's showing her expertise. Done a lot for this Melbourne team. It's off to Phillip. Wanting to send it to his brother Long. Brown under it with a bit of time. Wollongong just struggling to find their matchups here, which can often happen after a quick turn.
That's right. Phillip demanding, pointing to where he wants his players to be, passing it over to his brother there. Back to 42, Brown.
Wollongong with a mismatch on the gender matchups, which is not always accidental, sometimes on purpose.
And Do sends it to the end zone, looking for Phillip, and Phillip catches
Phillip. Great goal there from Melbourne.
Great put from Do.
Melbourne just lapping up that great goal. Wollongong looking a little bit dejected. They've been working really hard to try and claw back this gap, but Melbourne has done a great job at maintaining the lead that they got early on in the game. Once again, the early leads, I think.
The early leads.
Just what's getting people ahead today. Scoreline at 12-6 at the moment in this game. ANU 13-8 to University of Tasmania.
University of Tasmania?
Yeah.
No, University
well, ANU 13, University of Tasmania 8.
Looks like your university will be perhaps getting a bronze there.
Fingers crossed, although I do not want to put the commentator's curse on them.
We've only got 5 minutes left on the clock, though.
Still, let's not do it. Let's not do it.
Now, the rules are for this tournament is that hard cap will be called if the score is not within 2 points of each other. So within these last 5 minutes, Wollongong has to score another 4 points to be able to keep it in the game.
It's a tough ask given the level that this game has been at. Both teams playing really well, and Melbourne not giving that many chances back to Wollongong. As soon as they do get the turn, Melbourne has been quite good at holding their clean offense. But here we are, Keys with the disc in the centre. He might have played every point in this game. Faulkner. Back to Keys. Looking down to Ryan. Going up in the air, but Faulkner is under it. Great reach above the head. Keys wanting it. Melbourne Uni working hard, doesn't want him to get it. Yamaguchi. Wollongong working it through these handlers. Downfield, just waiting for the right opportunity to cut. Wood there with a nice cut, but just slightly mistimed it. Faulkner again. Looking for the end zone now. A hammer over the top. Will it come off this time? And Deacon Scott runs onto it perfectly, and we've got the celebration there. I think he's happy.
Very happy. I think Faulkner has sent a lot of hammers to the end zone, and they have turned out to be a lot of goals.
He is good at them. We saw that one earlier in the game that just didn't quite come off, or it was a little bit out of the field, I think. But he can be happy with that one. Catching Melbourne on the break side. Very difficult throw for them to stop.
Beautiful celebration there from Pink Pants.
Wollongong needing to score a few points quickly here, I think, to remain in contention as the time does run down. But it's not impossible.
And even if there is not enough time, there is still time for personal goals to be made. Just because the game's, every point matters. And because it's filmed, you can have your glory for that moment.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, I think what people remember from Uni Nationals is never really the result, even if it hurts at the time. You kind of look back on all the fun memories that you had when you're staying in the same accommodation as 20 of your friends for a week. It's always a great experience. Very tiring though.
It is a great experience unless you're with a snorer that you can't seem to get away from.
Has that happened to you?
Oh, that's definitely happened to me. But also, I think I've been the snorer sometimes too. So you take some.
Win some, you lose some.
Win some, you lose some.
As we see, Wollongong.
Let's hope Wollongong wins some.
We do hope they win some more. But let's see if Melbourne can hold them off. Fotopoulos with the pull. Sideline here, getting loud for the University of Melbourne, willing their team to hold on to this lead that they have.
Fina with the disc, centering it to 24. Do looking for his options downfield to Phillip. Phillip sending it to the end zone to Do. Oh, what a beautiful read from Do there. Beautiful throw from Phillip. They should be very happy with that.
The Melbourne receivers in the end zone have done really well to read most of those deep shots today. A lot of the time they're kind of fading off, and there's a couple of defenders like we see there, but Do just knew that that's the way that Frisbee was going. He didn't bait the early jump that we've seen happen a couple of times, and he had the power in his legs to grab onto that one. Another clean hold from University of Melbourne.
(13-7). Not the result that I thought it would be.
I would also have to say this is not what I was expecting to happen.
I was expecting a very close game.
I would say it's still a close game. Maybe not so much on the scoreline, but I think that potentially a lot of viewers might have expected this scoreline to be a little bit closer, given the lead up for Wollongong being undefeated.
That's right.
Although Melbourne will have to ask someone, they could have been undefeated as well.
I can go quickly ask.
to Michael, wondering when Pat Thorpe is on. I'm not sure if there is anyone called Pat Thorpe on either of these teams. I'm sorry to let you down. Michael, as Wollongong centres to Yamaguchi, playing for the gold medal here at UniSport Nationals. Jenkins is free, but not quite the right timing.
Melbourne is also undefeated, and I think perhaps after this point, because the siren's been cold, they will still
huge bid there from
remain
Yamaguchi.
Undefeated.
Right, okay, so we really have got a top of the table clash here. Both teams undefeated. Jenkins throwing it in, and great D there from Melbourne.
Let's see if Wollongong can get this back, so their last point of the day could still be a goal.
Yes. Yeah, you always want to win on in and on high. That's Tan there with the disc. Just letting that under happen. Getting RS there with the disc. Phillips again. Is he going to send it long? The wind is slightly picking up during this point. Fina again. Proven very hard for Wollongong to shut her down. This shows you the power of having a powerful female handler. Phillips with the disc. Just calming down here. Melbourne playing at their own pace. Wollongong desperately trying to get this disc back. Fina again. Some great matchups in this game.
Phillip and Fina have really been some core members of this team to make the plays happen.
Exactly,
21.
as we see Melbourne shooting for the end zone, and they've done it. Melbourne University scores.
What a great game to watch. Melbourne was fantastic to watch execute their plays.
And that's Melbourne University with the champions. I believe, I don't want to announce it too early because I don't know if these players are, I don't know if the game is 100% finished here.
Is that a celebration?
I've heard different things. I've heard some people saying game to 15, other people saying the game is done. I'm just going to hold back on announcing the winners.
I think they're also confused and they're also wondering whether this game's over or not. Oh, it sounds
and
like
we're playing to 15.
they're playing to 15.
I think that's probably what the teams might have expected, but I don't know.
We'll see if the event organisers will call this off because we know that there are tight time restrictions when it comes to timing.
The players have agreed though, so we'll keep playing.
That's right. And on the other side, the other game has finished with ANU taking home the bronze.
Congratulations to ANU. I'm
Katie
sure it
has
was a
just
good
done a
match
little
to watch.
dance.
It's meant to be in private.
You're allowed to be
I'm
biased.
happy for them. Yeah. I'm very happy for them. For ANU, we had a bit of a disappointing year last year, getting knocked out in the quarterfinals when we thought we had a chance at the final. So I'm sure they'd be stoked. And I'm sure that UTAS really gave them a good run for their money, with the final score being 9 to UTAS. 14-9, ANU winning in that bronze medal match. Bringing it back to this game here, we're playing to 15, so Melbourne coming out on defense. If they can get a break and score here, the game will be over. Otherwise, Wollongong is still in with a chance. But it will be difficult. Faulkner to Yamaguchi. Wollongong playing out of their horror, pushing their players deep again, really relying on these key players. Keys not liking what he sees. Yamaguchi, they've been working well together today. Up in the air to Keys. Just jumps a little early, but he still gets it. Great bid there from Du from Melbourne. Faulkner with the disc. Wollongong looking a little bit chaotic in the end zone there, scrambling to try and cut for these handlers who've been doing a lot of work. Scott, another one of the great young players for this team, coming through the ranks. Keys manning it back. Yamaguchi with the score. Wollongong brings it to 14-8.
Beautiful offense from Wollongong. I think this is what they've been wanting to play all game.
I think so. I think it might have been a different story if this is how the game started.
That's right. Imagine if they started on offense and set the pace of the game.
I think they might have started on offense and Melbourne broke them early on. I can't remember that far back, but I know that Melbourne did break. I think we were 4-0 to Melbourne earlier in the game. Melbourne really putting on the pressure right from the get-go. And like we said, setting the tone for this game and kind of really getting in command of how the game is played.
Maybe we might be here till 14-0.
We could be here.
We could be. But it is Melbourne's 0 point, and they haven't given up very many of them, have they?
No, if they can just play their calm, clean offense that they have been playing, I think they'll look pretty unstoppable here. We'll take something quite big from Wollongong.
Losing 6 points in a row could be very unlikely, but it has happened before.
It has happened before.
So we're here just to tell you what we see.
As we see the pull coming up from Cal Faulkner. Melbourne to receive.
They have put all their star players on this line here by Melbourne.
They have. We've got RS catching the pull there to Lamb. I think they want to make sure of it. They don't want to end up in a situation where Wollongong gains some momentum. Great undercut from Fina. Once again, sorry, that was not Fina. Great gab there from Lamb.
It's Cortez to Lamb there. Looking for Fina.
Really getting as many meters as she can, jumping that bit further forward, sending it to the end zone, and a lot of people going down. Disc is on the ground. I'm not sure what's happened.
Let's see the replay.
We had 2 Wollongong players there.
They all just went down, tumbling all for the disc all at once. 3 layouts.
It looks like we've got an injury.
We do have an injury.
From Wollongong, Stacey. It kind of looked like all those players might have just fallen over at the same time rather than knocking each other, but might be different from their perspective.
Kind of looked like dominoes, just crashing old in union, all in sync. Look at that. Let's see if the turnover stands or if it gets sent back.
Do you know, Cece, if it's a foul in the end zone on the offensive player, does that mean that it's a goal?
I do not know.
That does not mean it would be a goal. Only if it was a strip, so only if the offense had the disc in their hands under control and it got knocked out of their hands, would it be a goal. If it was a foul, I believe it would come back to the front of the end zone. And it looks like we've got a contested foul here. Uncontested foul. So Uni of Melbourne with a chance here to score with the disc. They're going to bring that onto the front of the end zone. But it looks like, I mean, they've given some hand signals. Okay, we're back in play. Tan with the disc. Can she score for Uni Melbourne for the championship? Wollongong working hard and it's over the top. And Uni Melbourne do it. They are the Australian UniSport Nationals Division Championship champions.
That was incredible to watch. They played some very clean offense and put on in some very, very, very hard-working defense there that really showed in the score.
Yeah, Uni Melbourne should definitely be really proud of that performance. I mean, Wollongong brought it back to them a little bit in the second half, but Melbourne just played clean, calm offense through most of their roster, and they held it together there for the gold medal.
That's right. Key players coming from Phillip, who sent lots of hucks to the end zone that came off. We've got Do, Buxer, Lamb, RS. Tan did a lot of good stuff there too. I feel like the whole team really got around it. Everyone got touches on the disc. I think we said pretty much all of their names.
Yeah, it was a great game to watch. And Mike is just asking us, we got any MVP nominations from our end? I think from Melbourne, particularly Fina, for me at least.
Yeah.
She just absolutely dominated that under kind of utility space there in the handler zone, and Wollongong really, really struggled to put a mark on her. I think
Absolutely.
at one point they kind of were just letting her run free and trying to double up down the field somewhere.
And then Josh Phillip, number 8 for the men's. He really is, I think, our MVP for Melbourne.
Yeah, both of them doing an awesome job. And commiserations to Wollongong. I know they would have been aiming for that gold, but they really put in their effort there. And they showed that they have a spot. They deserve their spot in the final. It was just Melbourne's day today.
I think Yamaguchi was my MVP for the women there on Wollongong. Don't you agree?
Yes, she did an awesome job working with Keys and the other handlers there, getting every second pass a lot of the time and then busting it downfield. I'm sure they'll be sad to see her go when she graduates. I'm not sure if she's graduating this year, but she's done an amazing job for the team and definitely they should all be proud of themselves.
So Uni Nationals is always on every year, isn't it? And so all these teams, all these universities will have the opportunity to play off again to try to win the gold again next year.
Exactly. Over for another year. Thank you for tuning in to the live stream for ULTI.TV's live stream of the UniSport Nationals. My words are failing me now after 2 days of this. We hope that you've enjoyed the stream, and thanks for supporting all of these wonderful players at this competition. I'm Katie.
I'm Cecilia.
And thanks for watching.
And thank you to Mike Palmer on the cameras for both the days.
Yes, thank you, Mike. All right.
See you later.
Thank you, everybody.
ULTI.TV.